cost of equity, couple of methods can be used. We are going to use two methods in our particular syllabus. We have two methods for understanding how cost of equity can be calculated. And of course, practically, people have choices between these two methods. It depends. So, first one is CAPM, and the second method is Gordon's growth model. The other name is dividend discount model. These two models are entirely based on different theoretical constructs. First one we have already covered under risk and return. So as I was telling you that expected rate of return is something which is cost for the company. So if you remember, we write as per CAPM, the equation for expected rate of return for an investment I is equal to risk plus B, RM, RF. This formula, I'm sure all of you are familiar with. We also solved a few questions using this formula. The only thing that will change is the notation, the way we use, the way we refer it. So, from the company's point of view, this is cost of equity, risk-free rate plus beta of equity and RM minus RF. इतना ही आपको जानना है. There is no difference because we understand. Now, we also, so obviously, in the case of equity, there is no legal binding on the company. Mandate नहीं है कि इतना return देना ही देना है. But in case the company fails to meet up to the expectations of the investors, investors might leave. So that way, company is forced to meet the expectations of the investors and come up to the expectations of the investors, and that's why we refer it as cost of equity. क्योंकि कोई कह सकता है ना कि कहीं ये रेट स्पेसिफाइड नहीं है, बट ये रेट है क्योंकि ये एक्सपेक्टेशन है इन्वेस्टर की. और अगर हम उस तरह का रिटर्न के फॉर्मेट्स हमने दो तरह के पढ़े थे, डिविडेंड और कैपिटल गेन, आपको याद होगा. फॉर्मेट कुछ भी हो सकता है, बट टोटल रेट ऑफ रिटर्न इनका वही आना चाहिए जो एक्सपेक्टेशन है. ठीक है. अदरवाइज हम लोगों ने पढ़ा था अंडर वैल्यूएशन, ओवर वैल्यूएशन. तो अगर कंपनी मीट नहीं कर पाती है तो होगा क्या, लोग उसमें से निकलने शुरू कर देंगे, उस कंपनी से निकल के दूसरी कंपनी में जाना शुरू कर देंगे. दे विल नॉट फाइंड दैट कंपनी अट्रैक्टिव इनफ टू स्टे देयर if the company is not able to generate sufficiently the dividends and capital appreciation for the investor, which satisfies the expectations of the investor. All right. Coming on to the second model, which requires a bit greater, longer explanation. So this is the Gordon growth model or dividend discount model. Here there are few things which are relevant from your earlier modules to understand this model in a better way. Of course, I can give you the final formula in one go, but some students do feel interested in understanding how that final formula comes into picture. What is the concept? So here this is again based on expectations, but here we use the current market price and the expectations of the investor. Now, if you remember in the capital budgeting, we learned about IRR, capital budgeting. How do I calculate IRR? That is the internal rate of return for a project. We say that whatever is the cost of project or the initial investment as of today, and whatever are the future cash flows expected out of this project. So how do I discount these future cash flows? At what rate I should discount it so that my LHS and RHS equate. So this R gives me what? The rate of return for that project. And that's why we say कि इसमें जो है expectation. So cost of capital क्या होता है? जो minimum required rate of return है. अगर उससे better rate of return ये project generate कर रहा है तो हम कहते हैं कि इस प्रोजेक्ट को कंपनी अंडरटेक कर सकती है. रिमेंबर आई टोल्ड यू दैट IRR शुड बी ग्रेटर देन कॉस्ट ऑफ. तो ये कॉन्सेप्ट तो सबको पता है. ये कॉन्सेप्ट हमने किस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में लगाया है? हम कह रहे हैं कि अगर कंपनी प्रोजेक्ट में इन्वेस्ट करेगी तो उसके अगेंस्ट जो इसको फ्यूचर बेनिफिट्स मिलेंगे, उसी से ये मैथमेटिक्स निकल के आ रही है रेट ऑफ रिटर्न निकालने की। अब इसी कॉन्सेप्ट को आप शेयर होल्डर के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में ले आइए। आप शेयर पे पैसा लगाते हो, आज की प्राइस जो चल रही है, उस शेयर से आने वाले समय में हम क्या एक्सपेक्ट करेंगे? फ्यूचर में हम डिविडेंड्स एक्सपेक्ट करेंगे। ऑलराइट, और क्योंकि हम फ्यूचर में डिविडेंड्स एक्सपेक्ट करेंगे, तो अगर मैं मुझे उसके एलएचएस और आरएचएस को, दैट मीन्स इंस्टेड ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट आई टेक इक्विटी शेयर एज एन इन्वेस्टमेंट and just replicate this entire formula in the context of equity share investment. R will denote what? The expected rate of return for the equity shareholder. Alright, that's what I say, that whatever is the expected rate of return for an equity shareholder, that is cost of equity for the company. Alright, so having said that, if I put it in the context of company, P naught is what? Price of the share today, the amount of money I need to invest in an equity share. Against this investment, I foresee some future benefits in the shape of maybe dividends. Now, having said this, N क्या होगा? In the case of share is having no maturity period to it. Just like we say in the accounting that business is a going concern, you can't confine its life. Equity investment is something which can go on and on. There is no definitive life to it. So N here is what? Infinity. D1, if I say, now the Gordon assumed further to derive the, simplify this further. If I say that my D1 will grow at a fixed growth D1, 1 plus G, and so on. Every year my dividend is expected to grow at a growth rate G. Which concept of time value of money you can see here? Growing perpetuity. So straight away this can be derived to the last level of the formula that we have seen earlier on, present value of growing perpetuity. If you remember, this was present value CF1 upon R minus G. ये टाइम वैल्यू ऑफ मनी में हमने पढ़ा था, और मैंने अभी आपको प्रीवियस पेज पे जो दिखाया वो कॉन्सेप्ट क्या था टाइमलाइन का, वो पूरा ग्रोइंग परपेचुइटी का था. दिस इज प्रेजेंट वैल्यू ऑफ ग्रोइंग. सो नाउ taking the same notations which are relevant for share, P naught is equal to D1 upon R की जगह अगर मैं KE लिख लूँ, क्योंकि अभी मैं कॉस्ट ऑफ इक्विटी की बात कर रही हूँ, रेट ऑफ रिटर्न फॉर इन्वेस्टर की बात नहीं कर रही हूँ, तो इस KE का इसी से डेरिवेशन हो जाता है D1 अपॉन P नॉट प्लस G. गॉर्डन ग्रोथ मॉडल, फाइनल मॉडल जो आपको फॉर्मूला याद रखना है फॉर कॉस्ट ऑफ इक्विटी.